Hi, everybody. This is Kevin Hicks with another EarthWorks Turf Talk. Um, I This came about from a conversation I was having with the superintendent, going over some of his soil and water test results, and he wanted to look at both his what he called his spray water as well as his irrigation water. And the reason being, he was having some trouble with some tank mixes. The spray water preparation was a city source, which was probably convenient to the maintenance facility, easy to hook up and get to, and so assuming that it was drinkable, let's assume that it's a suitable water. Um, if you if you think about it, we talk a lot about water suitability with respect to irrigation, but not so much about what water we're using in preparation for mixing either chemical or fertilizer spray tanks up. And so I think this really hit home for me that sometimes we can't see the forest for the trees, if you will. Um, Take a look at this first spreadsheet that I put together for our client, and this is the city source. And if you look, there's a couple of things that really jumped out at me, and I'll tell you why in particular in a minute. But the city source is very, very high in the hardness level was very high, as well as chlorides, which makes sense being a city source. They treat the water at the municipality level so that it's drinkable. The unfortunate thing for him is he does a lot of things to manage his course as biologically and organically or chemical free as he possibly can, doing a lot of compost teas in house and some other biological preparations. Well, with that load of chloride, he's essentially sterilizing that material, just as the municipality is trying to do with that water source. So, um, if you look at the second sample, which was called irrigation water, much lower hardness, which means lower possibility for interaction with chemicals, but also almost a third of the level of chlorides. So, being a biological preparation, a lot of times he's got a lot better chance of that mix being viable in the tank until it gets out on the golf course. One of the things you can do with a city source is let it agitate or bubble overnight before you do your mixing, and that'll allow some of that chloride to gas off. But either way, the hardness was probably as much of an issue as was the chlorides in his case. There's a lot of money being invested in spray mixes, whether it's plant protectants or fertilizers. We want to try to get the maximum out of those applications. And so I would suggest, if you haven't, and you're using two different water sources for irrigation and for spraying, I would suggest you look at both side by side, and we can talk that over and see which one's most appropriate for your spray tank. But like I said, with the amount of money we invest in those types of applications, we definitely want to get the most bang for your buck. So take a look at your water samples, um, each source, and let's make a decision as to which one's most appropriate. Hopefully that helps. I think it's a lot more common thing than I had considered, um, because the city source is usually a pretty convenient one for the maintenance facility, but it may not be in your best interest. And typically there's an irrigation line or lateral that's close enough that you can utilize that. For some of the sports turf guys, I don't know that that's really an option. So there's some other things we can do, but with respect to hardness, I would definitely get a good buffer from your local supplier and buffer that hardness so that you don't have precipitation in the tank of your expensive chemicals. So hopefully that got you thinking a little bit about things and how you mix your sprayers. And if you have any questions, certainly contact me or any of the agronomists here at EarthWorks. And have a great day. And shit, forgot to silence my phone, Mike. I would have made it too. Anyway.